Hello, Collab Design for Literacy Beauties. It's week 14 going to week 15, and this is our recap briefing video as we go into the second week, last week of class. And I want to make sure everyone is up to speed, understand what's due, and is geared up for success. So let's dive into it. Let's make this a quick one because I know you guys got lots going on. I know you got lots going on for my class. You got lots going on for other people's classes. Those are all important. And you got lots going on probably for yourself personally. So make sure you stay balanced and you stay focused and you stay disciplined. But for our class, we are going to week 15. And our deadline for this class is our third part of our audiovisual storybook, part three. It's design completion or production. And in this task, you are to complete your audiovisual book so that you have a working prototype ready to review and either give a big thumbs up high five or have just a few minor tweaks or a few things going on to complete your audiovisual book. Because following that, you'll have a full week before finals, which will be a presentation of all three of your projects put together on one presentation deck, that and with your books in your hands and with your audiovisual book playable on your presentation. We'll get into that next week for next week's uh, briefing, but for this week, you need to get your audiovisual book either fully done or mostly done. And what I mean by that is I know these are big projects, and some of you have been ambitious enough to do completely new original stories, and it just takes a lot of time. So there is a week between this next class period and our final class period, so there is time to do more work on this. I just don't want you to rely on that very much. So I prefer the worst case scenario to be that if there's 100% left to do, that you don't do 50% for this week and 50% for next week. No go. That's too much relying on the last week. I prefer you get to 100%, but if you can't and you get to 90, that's probably more normal. But if you get to 75% with 25% to go, then that's a good balance. So that's why I say have a working prototype that we can play in class that has narration that maybe needs to be adjusted here and there. That's kind of the 90 to 80%. Um, if you don't quite have if you have all your motion graphics worked out and it plays, and the narration maybe is not fully completed, that's probably the 75% I'm talking about. Either way, plan to get as much as you can between now and class so that you cannot be overwhelmed too much in your final weeks because there's lots you got to do. Okay, so one thing I want to talk about, the main focus for this class as you go into production is in how you put together your narration in your final presentation. Now, when you're going to be making these things, I'm going to require that everyone make a working MP4, regardless of what um, program you're using, what application you're using to make your motion graphic. I want you to output it as MP4, and I want you to output it with the narration, and I want you to output it um, with the option of having um, this flag or this window, what's it called? The thing that goes up and down, um, that is provided in the Figma file. You don't have to do it, but you can. And if you do it, I want you to provide me eventually the MP4 without it. And the thing also that I want to make sure you guys understand is for the narration, not only do I want you to tell the story with the narration, obviously you're going to do that, but I want you to begin and end with the title and the credits and have that repeated in the beginning and the end. So this is an example of doing that. And let me play this through so you can hear what I mean. Um, Hopefully the sound is on.
Illustrated by Ashley Kim. Narrated
Sorry. Okay, we go.
Dirt Read presents Can I Have a Cookie? Illustrated by Ashley Kim. Narrated by Ashley Kim and Annie Park. On one summer's day, a young
Okay, so you saw there that it was a section in itself. Uh, the title is clearly said out loud, and then the credits follow, similar to how you put the credits to your book, with the addition of crediting the narrator, or not crediting the narrator if it's AI and it's too complicated to do. But for sure, if it's your friend's relative's voice, you got to credit that thing. If it's your voice, credit it. Why not? I just throw it in with adapted, illustrated, and narrated by your name. Now, the thing that gets forgotten a lot is not only do I want you to do that in the beginning of the story, but here I'm going to the end, and I'm going to want you to repeat the exact. It could be the exact same recording,
Well,
but
since you did your chores, you can have a reward
I want it
from
to
Mother Credit.
end with that.
And at the end, she deserved a cookie. Can I Have a Cookie? Illustrated by Ashley Kim. Narrated by Ashley Kim and Annie Park.
All right. So do you hear how that was the same thing in the beginning, the same thing in the end? The story's in the middle. The title and credits are in the beginning. The same title and credits are at the end, and the story's in the middle. So another example here I'll show you is this one.
Persephone, adapted and illustrated by Blythe Graziano, narrated by Camille Sokoloff.
Long ago, before the seasons existed, the earth was always flourishing. The sun was constantly shining, flowers and trees bloomed, and animals roamed the grassy meadows. In charge.
Okay, so on a side note now, when we're talking about sound here, and in this last phase, you now have the option if you've got the time, and this could really refine your experience for your audiovisual book nicely, is to think about sound design and think about the additional elements that could come into your story besides your voice or your narrator's voice or your narrator's voice, however you're doing that. And that could include sound like music. And music is not meant to be any kind of dominant part of this. It's not meant to be about lyrics. It's not about your favorite song. It's about like some kind of classical, culturally relevant soundtrack. It could be like a guitar or a pipe or some kind of simple thing that plays in the background, maybe at a very low tone. So if, for example, if
Of the earth was
if
Demeter.
it was playing here in the beginning,
Before the seasons,
then like right here,
long ago, before the seasons
just
existed.
slightly playing in the background, that could enhance it and give it a layer of texture that makes it even better. In addition, if you want to use sound with little kind of sporadic details, like if there were birds chirping or if there were the sounds of nature, or a babbling brook, some kind of level of sound with that music or without the music, just the sound of nature, that could also help enhance this. If actions happen, if something bangs or if wind blows or if something that requires sound, if you can enhance that with an additional sound factor, that's another thing to think about. Okay, and then just a reminder here now, at the very end, what's going to happen?
Passion, often helping mortals along their journeys. She always looked forward to her time with her mother and welcomed the joy of spring each year.
Persephone, adapted and illustrated by Blythe Graziano, narrated by Camille Sokoloff.
Okay,
Persephone.
so again, the beginning, the narrator says the title, the credits, and then it goes into the story. At the end, the same thing repeats: the title, the story, and the credits. And in the beginning here, like what I forgot to mention is that you could or should start it off with Dirt Reads Presents.
Persephone.
This one doesn't do it. So let's see if the next one does.
We like to move.
All right, forget it. Never mind, I said that. Just do the title. Never mind Dirt Reads Presents. You can do that if you want, but let's not complicate things. So again, this is the narrator.
Written and illustrated by Malavika Srinivasan. Narrated by Kirtana Srinivasan. Take your hands and clap, clap, clap.
Okay, so here you heard the narrator do the proper introduction. You hear music playing in the background, and you hear the sounds of the clap. But those are subtle things, they're not dominant. You're hearing the sound of the narrator loud and clear with just a secondary lower level sound of the music and the sound of the clapping or the other things the person's going to do.
Then touch your nose just one tap.
You heard
Give
that no
each of
sound?
your ears a gentle tug.
There's a tug crunch going on there.
Raise your shoulders and slowly shrug.
No sound for that.
Close your eyes and open them
A
wide.
little bouncing sound there.
Stomp
The stomp
your
noise.
feet from side to side. Now, this last one you don't want to miss. Give someone next to you a little kiss.
You hear the sound of the kiss.
We like to move.
And the ending.
Written and illustrated by Malavika Srinivasan. Narrated by Kirtana Srinivasan.
And everything fades out at the end. Okay, so those are some of the tips. Remember, the beginning and the end requires the same introduction of the title and the credits. And then in between, beyond your narration or your narrators that you put together, try to think about if enhancing it with some kind of music track or enhancing it with specific sound effects based on the actions. But remember, don't make those too loud, specifically the music. The biggest mistake I see is the music ends up just being too loud. So keep that on the lower side so it's there, but it's not too present and that we're listening to the words. All right. So as we move forward here, the assignment is now posted on Canvas, and it has the links to the Google Drive as usual. There's a new one up for production, so make sure you use that for when we get together in class, everyone together in class on Thursday, and we're going to present your final or almost final presentations of your audiovisual storybooks. In class resources, there's some tools as we've talked about. There's tutorials, and there's one there for Anima. It's the Figma plugin that helps you make motion graphics in Figma. You don't have to use that. Some of you asked that. You can use whatever you want, but if you want to use it that way, there's a plugin with an MP with a tutorial that my intern a few years ago made. But again, your main reason to go to Figma is if you want to use the flag here, the opening title thing. And with that opener, it comes up at the beginning when the narrator's talking, and it comes down when the narrator's finished introducing the title and the credits, and it stays off from there on. And it can go up and down, or it can fade in and out. It doesn't have to be any specific way for now. But remember, in the end, I'm going to want you to create your MP4 when you turn it in for the last final project without this on there, or with the ability for us to take it off, because it's a prototype. Okay, so that's it. Let me know if you have questions. Also, the class surveys, evaluation surveys are up or have been emailed to you. I want 100% participation. I want everyone to participate, but I also want everyone to participate with the full experience of the class in hand. And ideally, this is going to be something you do at the final presentation, and I'm going to put this on your checklist of things to do while at the finals. So if you want to wait till finals, that way you'll be able to evaluate the class and your experience based on all the sessions. If you've already done it, great. Way to go. If you're doing it this week, great. But it's going to be there'll be time while you're waiting to present for you to do it on your phones at our final review, which will be at my office. All right, everyone, that's it for now. Make sure you get yourself scheduled up so that you've got time allocated to get this to the completed or nearly completed level, and that you're balancing all your other classes and staying sane and healthy. Be disciplined, be focused, know that this is an important class for you. This is important projects. The books have all come in except for two, which are coming in a couple days. They look amazing. I'll give you like a sneak peek here. They're like incredible. Like they're all these books, and that's not even the baby. Well, that's not even the baby board books. I've got 2 copies that you just saw, one for you, one for me. And same with the baby board books. So that's going to be exciting. So be sure you're ready for that. And reach out if you have any questions or need some feedback from me. Thanks so much, everybody. We'll see you in class, everyone in class next week for the review of your audiovisual book completion. Bye.